So my name is Krystal McReynolds, and I am the librarian at Lincoln Elementary School in Kingsport, Tennessee. And this is...
Kim Bradley. I'm also the school library media specialist at George Washington Elementary School, and we received our STEM designation 2 years ago during COVID.
So we are here today to talk to you about a summer camp curriculum that we created a couple of years ago when we first started doing summer school for all of our K-8 students. Kim and I were asked to create the STEM portion of the curriculum, and so this is what we came up with, and Kim's going to talk in a little bit about how she expanded that, and they use it as part of their PBL programming at her school. So here we go. So today we're going to talk about why you can use the national parks for STEAM learning, what our goals and objectives were with our curriculum. We're going to go through kind of a daily schedule, how we set things up, and what we gave to our teachers to use. We're going to talk about the weekly topics and the activities that we did. And then, like I said, Kim's going to talk about how they transformed it into PBL lessons with their related arts team. So one of our, let me just give you a little bit of background of how we came up with the idea to begin with. So as we were talking about ideas for what we wanted to do for the STEM portion of summer school, we kind of felt bad that our kids weren't going anywhere and that they were stuck there doing summer school. So we wanted to make it an experience for them that allowed them to virtually travel to different places throughout the summer and to gain those experiences. And we also wanted to provide opportunities for a lot of the kids to realize that there are places that they can go and experience in our country that are free and that provide lots of great learning opportunities for them. I'm in a Title I school. My kids don't travel outside of our city. And we wanted them to be able to see that there are places that they can go that are very close to them as well as far away, but they're free, and you don't have to spend a lot of money to do that. So that was kind of the impetus for choosing national parks as our focus. The other thing was I happened to see, and some of you probably know Daisha Jones. I happened to see a post from her about some of her materials, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. Can we borrow from what she's already done? So Kim and I set up a meeting with her, and we asked her if it would be okay if we use them in our summer program. She was definitely all on board. So we're going to talk a little bit about her and her materials later, because she's got way more than we created. But she was very excited about that, and so she kind of spurred us on and gave us her blessing to use what she's created and to modify it so that we could make it accessible to our students. So we started out with the following goals and objectives for our students. So we wanted them to gain background knowledge in 5 national parks and learn about the engineering design process to solve a real-world problem facing each of those national parks. We wanted the students to apply relevant scientific knowledge about each park's unique environmental landscape in a STEM challenge, and we wanted them to learn about STEM careers, including park rangers. And the other thing that we incorporated were the UN Sustainable Goals as well.
I believe that was the...
No.
All right.
Is this the only one that people are still at?
So for those of you online, we are
Stopping for a second.
we are taking a brain break.
We're taking a brain break in here. I know, I started a minute early just so we could do this.
To enter door prize. you. Thank you. No problem. Interrupt anytime. Make sure everybody's name tag's in there. She's the giver of gifts. What I wanted to add was when we did the Zoom call with Dr. Drizzle, is how she is referred to, Daisha Jones. She did ask that the only thing that we are to include is to bring attention to the sustainable goals and how each one applied to that specific STEM challenge. So that was the only criteria that she asked of us, which helped us learn a lot more about the sustainable goals also.
Well, and that's really what drove the projects that the students did as well. So that was a really important part of it. All right, so like I said, we were creating this for STEAM camp during the summer. So our camp was 4 days a week. So that's how this is divided up. We had them, it was kind of like as a related arts or specials part of the day. So it was about a 50-minute period. So that's why we divided up the different components of the project throughout the week that way. So the first day we were wanting the kids just to get to know each other, have some team building exercises and things like that, and then introduce them to the park and to a ranger. And Daisha has some wonderful videos that she has created with park rangers, so they're ready-made. They're right there for you. You don't have to do anything. And then we started off with an art project. Because we like art and we like to do that kind of stuff. Day 2 was a focus on a STEM career. So each of the parks that we chose, we created a section for a STEM career that would be applicable to that park. We talked about the science and literacy behind behind what we were going to be doing, so they had that background knowledge. We then allowed the students to do research and introduce the problem in the STEM challenge and gave them time to start thinking about their ideas and plan and design those ideas. The next day was, again, just continuing over things that weren't finished from the previous day, and this was the day that we let them build and create and test their ideas. We talked a lot about the local culture of the park, and then we incorporated music activities as well. The music teacher from Kim's school helped us to bring in some really cool music activities, so that we really enjoyed that. And then the last day was just a wrap-up day, and we gave the children time to present their projects and get feedback from their peers, reflect on what they did, and just enjoy celebrating what we've learned that week.
So 2 things I want to add. One is that we did have to submit our materials list in order to meet a budget and we had in mind that any teacher that was teaching STEM at the other elementary schools could pick and choose and switch what they wanted to do. For example, if there was an art teacher at another school doing STEM that week, then maybe they wanted to emphasize the art project a little bit more than the music. But we wanted to make it so flexible that other teachers could easily pick up where they're at in the challenge for their students and be able to run with it.
So if you are on the app, the conference app, there under my name, there is a document for week 1, and it goes through all those things that Kim was talking about. So it was literally a materials list. This is everything you need to do to complete this week. And then there were links to all of the resources, websites, projects. We included links to, we tried to include online books, so if it didn't matter where you were, you could get to those resources. So it's just so if you take a look at that, you'll see it's extremely detailed, and that you could just pick up and run with it. And like Kim said, we really wanted to make it so that teachers who were not STEM teachers could just pick and choose and be able to do something that was meaningful.
We do have a couple of comments from the online community. They're asking if the slides can be any larger to take pictures. Do you know?
I know nothing about that. But there is a link to the slide presentation under my name as well, so they can get it from there.
And we'll be glad to send anybody online also. Our emails are included. We'll be glad to send you whatever you need. Okay, thanks for the comments.
Yeah.
We have several people that want to be Daisha Jones
Oh,
when they grow
seriously.
up, Dr.
Seriously.
Drizzle of
How
themselves.
many of y'all know Daisha? Yes, sir. Yeah. We're going to talk about, I want to talk about something cool at the end too. So anyway, you all want to do it. Promise. Can we come back to this one?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to come back to this after we talk about the parks that we chose. So again, when we started, we didn't really know what we were doing. So we were relying on Daisha a lot. So she helped us to choose the parks that we covered, and so that we kind of got our feet under us, I guess is the best way to say it. So the first park that we looked at, so what we wanted to do is take the kids on a road trip across the United States. So that's what this is. So we started in our hometown, which is Kingsport, Tennessee, and then we went to Mammoth Cave. So that's what you're going to see the next few slides are the parks that we went to. And we had a map like this. Each of the STEM teachers got a map like this so that they could track and keep track of the distance that they were traveling over the summer. So, like I said, we started in Kingsport, Tennessee, and the first place we went was Mammoth Cave. So, while we were at Mammoth Cave, we did the challenge that Daisha had already created, which was looking at how to filter water of harmful chemicals. So these are all real life issues that the park rangers in the videos that I referenced a few minutes ago, these are all issues that the park rangers talk about and that they say this is what they are currently dealing with. And so they created, for this segment, they created water filters. So we talked about water purification and all kinds of really cool things. So we also gave each of the teachers this little kind of a mini breakdown. So the science topics that we covered with Mammoth Cave were how caves were formed, water pollution. We did a dirty water project kind of as a demonstration for kids. And then we talked about, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that right now, organisms that live in caves, little clear shrimp that live down in the bottom of the cave. They thought that was fascinating. We did cave paintings, and again, we did folk songs and cave music with that project. Then, after Mammoth Cave, we went to Crater Lake. And one of the cool things that was happening right then, so this was like the first week of June, it was snowing, and so it was snowing there. So I can remember I pulled that up so the kids could see that it was, because they were like, why in the world is it snowing there? But anyway, it was really cool. So Crater Lake has an invasive species problem. There are crayfish there that should not be. And so the project was to design a trap that was humane, that could trap these crayfish and keep them from eating the Mazama newts. So again, here we talked about how Crater Lake was formed. Our career focus was on volcanologists, and we looked at invasive species. We talked about the Native American tribes that live in the area, and they did blow painting volcano paintings, and we talked about Native American folk songs with that. Then we went to Dayton Aviation National Historical Park, and I found this park to be really interesting. There is a big focus there, not only on Orville and Wilbur Wright, but also the African-American poet Paul Laurence Dunbar. So we brought that into the week as well. The STEM challenge was to build a sustainable flying machine. So they had to think about sustainable fuels as well as aircraft that were sustainable. Since we're trying to prevent global warming. So here we focused on aerospace engineers. We looked at fossil fuels and alternative fuels, as well as biomimicry. We talked about Paul Laurence Dunbar's poetry. They illustrated that poetry, and then we did hot air balloon yoga as our music. And then week 4 was Cape Cod National Park. National Seashore. The STEM project for this park was to create a piece of life-saving equipment that could be used in water rescue. And there were some interesting projects that came out of that one. So we talked about marine biologists, density, and something sink or float. Something waterproof versus water resistant versus water repellent. That was an important topic to look at. We looked in the literacy part, we talked about archaeology and artifacts, and then they did lighthouse drawings and listened to pirate music. So one of the things that I do want to point out before I talk about the last one, this was for K-5, well, technically, rising first graders, still kindergartners, through 5th grade. So one of the other important things that Kim and I wanted to do was make it so that it was easily adaptable for whatever age group. So everybody got the same materials, and then you figured out how you needed to adapt it for lower elementary versus upper. So then the last park that we went to was Gettysburg, and here we talked about sustainable farming, which was really interesting as well. So we talked about agriculture and biosystems engineering, and we looked at sustainable farming. We talked about primary sources, and compare and contrasting. We talked about the Slider family farm that is at Gettysburg. And then you can see the art and music were landscape paintings and drawings and John Philip Sousa. So.
Do you want to pause for any questions on that?
That was a lot, really fast. I'm a fast talker when I get nervous, so sorry. Okay, thank you. Little people are easy. Big people are scary. Don't know why. I can talk all day with little people. Then does anybody have a question or comment to anything that you're dying to know? I will say this, we had way more than you could possibly have done in the amount of time that we had. Kim and I both taught during that. Did you teach all 5 weeks? I didn't.
No.
I did just like 2 or 3 weeks, and we had so much that we could have used many, many more weeks. Mm-hmm. But again, the idea was just to expose kids to the parks and to give them a chance to think about some different problems that they would not be normally thinking about.
And we wouldn't be elementary if we didn't do a little camping tent and,
yeah.
a little s'mores and things like that, just to reinforce survival skills, hiking and backpacking and things like that. Also, just to reinforce, being outside, outdoor play, and how much you can learn from your surroundings.
Yeah, and a lot of the teachers during that summer took that theme and kind of ran with it.
Yes,
I know my whole school was, once they found out we were doing that, then the other teachers were like, well, I want to go camping too. And so they had little tents and things set up in their room. So it was really fun.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's something that you use to kind of get them keyed in on the outdoors in general.
Well,
Mine don't either. Really, I mean, I don't know that Kim. I don't think you.
well, I think that Dr. Drizzle, in her materials that she provides, she has a virtual tour of the park with the park ranger. That's about 20 to 30 minutes long. So you're actually going through the park with her and that particular ranger, talking about the history of the park and when it became a national park, and other details like
Right.
that. So I think that was kind of, we did that first day when we introduced the park. And I really think for our kiddos, the traveling, we went through, well, if you were on an airplane or if you were walking this distance or if you were driving in a car for this distance, then how long would it take? And that helped them put their mindset into taking them out of where they live to somewhere else in
Right.
the country.
And like I said, I think that the other teachers getting involved in it and kind of embracing that theme of we're going camping and we're, and they had those little areas in their classroom that were like little camp areas. I don't know what you would say, but I think that really helped too. But I mean, like you said, my kids, as I said at the beginning, my kids don't get out of town. Going to McDonald's is a big deal for them. And so, that was kind of the whole reason why we wanted to do this anyways, to see that you can travel and do these things. So, yeah.
Does that
I think
help?
it's just your own excitement about it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
The next part was because I shared this with my related arts team at Washington Elementary, and we were going through the STEM designation at the time. We said, well, why can't we use this at another level for our kiddos? Right now, we only have 4 related arts teachers, so we have that 5th day that we say, what can we do with students? So initially at George Washington Elementary, we went through lots of PBL training and worked in PBL, 2 to 3 PBLs per year for each, we call them learning centers, grade levels. And so we had that background with the PBL merging into the engineering design process. So we just wanted to say, okay, how can we now, of course, we all know that we have to put computational thinking into some of our lessons, if not all. So we wanted to keep the national parks to do that. I forgot I have this. So from related arts perspective, we said, each of us have our own specialty areas. So let's take a national park, and together we have all grade level, all 80 kids in our case, and we do a kickoff and an introduction which provides that background that you just asked about, and giving that to all the students. And then we break out for the next 4 Fridays where one group, let's just say group A, goes to art, and group B goes to music, and group C goes to library, and group D goes to PE. And then the next Friday, they switch. So from a related arts perspective, teaching perspective, we teach the same lesson 4 times. But we're able to be a deeper dive into, for me, mine was called Campfire Stories, and so we were able to tell spooky stories or legends or folk tales, depending on the park. Or when we did Mammoth Cave, we had the kids write their own story with the cave being the setting. That's just an example. Whereas our PE guy, he would do survival skills and backpacking skills and rock climbing skills. And then our art and music teacher would, again, do their specialty depending on the park. So the example I have up here is we just finished the Everglades. And it does take about 6 to 8 weeks, depending on your school schedule, for us to keep going through the park. But the first day is the introduction day. The second, third, fourth, fifth, you're going to the different specialty areas. And then at the end, we bring the kids back. We present the STEM problem, and they do their solution for the next two Fridays. So that's why it takes so long. But and of course that's just us having kids for 50 minutes a day, but back to back. So everybody in the school's learning about Everglades. Their STEM project may not be the same project, but it's still applicable to the national park we've been talking about. So, for example, the problem in the park for Everglades that we came to for K2, we said all the animals, and I believe I included this attachment in our website, but all the animals and the habitats around the Everglades had to experience different types of natural disasters. So what happens to the animals when the hurricane comes, and what happened when the tornadoes come, and so how can you build a safe shelter for the animals in the Everglades? So first of all, they have to know what animals are in the Everglades, right? And then they chose that animal, and then for that, we actually put lots of materials in a paper bag for each student, and they just went and built their own. So we discovered that was one great way to distribute materials, paper bags. Everybody has their own. Build your shelter. Take it with you. We don't have to cry and complain that I want to take it home and my friend can't. No, we just lined up paper bags, toilet paper roll, pipe cleaner, Q-tips, tape, just all kinds of just easy for them to mold. And we didn't even do glue.
For the summer, we collected recyclables.
Yes.
Everything we did, we just had people in our schools bring in boxes and bottles and yogurt containers and things like that.
And then for 3-5, we really went out on a limb with this one, but the art teacher is also very tech savvy, and he did Minecraft for Education. I don't know if you've been exposed to that yet, but it is an excellent connection with our students in that it already has biomes and different literacy projects in it. So we just had to figure out how to connect with the kiddos, technology-wise, since they have their own device. And so their job was to, again, go through the engineering design process. They just show us on paper what they planned out for a shelter that could be, they had to build a shelter above the Everglades or in the Everglades using different materials that's provided in Minecraft. I'm not Minecraft versed at all. The teachers the students pretty much they have been teaching us, but they have hooked into this Minecraft for Education, and we were able to do the Everglades and the swamp biome and just make it all connect together. So our goal is to do 2 national parks each year using the same framework. Some key takeaways that I've had or our team has had is, first of all, it helps our related arts team be seen as the specialists that we are in a overarching content area. In fact, those days are called Race Days, which is Related Arts Creates Enrichment. So everything that we try to do is as a team so we can be modeling what our team can do for kids. Also, we have learned through using the parks that students will come to us after we did our summer one. I had several students come up to me and say, our family went to Mammoth Cave. Right there. Our family went to Mammoth Cave. We're going to plan to go to the Everglades this summer. So that's where we see a lot of the buy-in coming from, is that our kiddos are going home and saying, hey, I learned about this today. And it included everything that elementary kids love, which is natural disasters and animals and the music of that area, and even artwork, volcanoes, everything. Oh, this is an actual place I can go in with a reasonable budget. So that was a couple of our takeaways.
I agree. No, I mean, I do think those are the biggest takeaways from the whole project. So, if you don't mind, can you bring up that website for us? So I mentioned Daisha Jones, Dr. Drizzle, as she goes by online. So this is Daisha's website. It's called Expeditions in Education. I highly recommend you write that down or bring it up. There are thousands and thousands of resources that you can use here. So I think the other big takeaway that I would say is that you don't have to recreate the wheel here. We expanded on things, but we certainly just took her ideas that, like I said, she gave us her blessing, and that's okay. And then we expanded on it and modified it to suit our situation. But so can you click on the link at the top that says National Parks Expedition Challenge? Keep going. There you go, that one. So under that, that's where you can find a lot of the challenges. So she has visited almost every national park in the United States, and there are video tours, like Kim said, virtual tours of these visits. She talks to the rangers. She talks about the problems that each of the parks are facing, gives you background information. So they're a wonderful resource for anybody who wants to learn about national parks, even if you're just on your own wanting to learn about them. This is a great place to go. And then she has also under that link, and you can explore it on your own, there are links to challenges, and they're already done, kind of like what we created for our summer camp, that have activities that you can do to bring in literacy and art and music and all of those other things to make that project and that activity more complete. So again, it's not something that you have to create on your own. It's already there and free, and it's a wonderful resource. So check it out and see what you can find that interests you there. And I'm going to put one more plug in. So Daisha has summer camps for educators. It's called STEAM in the Park. And so this year, there are 12, yes, there are 12 different parks that she is visiting with educators. So educators from across the United States. Normally, she takes applications in January, February-ish. And so the parks this year include I can never remember what it's actually called. Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, Redwood National Park, Voyagers, Great Smoky Mountains. Mammoth Cave. So it's all over the United States. Thank you. I will read those if I can see them. Cumberland Island, New River Gorge, Big Cypress, Jimmy Carter Historical Park. Acadia is a family camp, so if you would like to take your entire family with you. No, these are all closed now. They're done for the year. They're full, but next year, go to her website. The information will be there, and you can apply to go. She just sent out an email to people in her little camp group. She is offering school programs that she will come and do programs, national park programs with your families and students. So this is just honestly one of the most amazing things. I don't know how the woman has has the energy and the time to do all that she does. But for educators, it is a tremendous resource if you're looking to bring that kind of content into your classes and share it with students. So they are treasures, and I think that that's one of the great things about this is that we have all this in our backyard. And we can draw upon that and share it with our kids and hopefully get our kids to realize how important conservation and being aware and just taking care of our earth is. So that's my last little spiel on that.
I believe she referenced that less than 40% of fourth graders know about national parks.
Yeah. So we're early. Questions? I would love to go to Hawaii. That is on my, that's the one I would definitely, yeah. So I personally have been to, I did Acadia 2 summers ago, and then last year I did National Mall and Bryce Canyon, and so both, they were all just tremendous experiences. So you interact with park rangers, so there are a lot of activities that are park ranger led. There are activities that are like kind of she leads and they're internal. So it's very community building, wouldn't you say? Yep. Also went. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a. So I'm going to Great Smoky Mountains. It's $600. So you stay. It's a week. So it's a week. So that one is June 5th through the 9th. So we're staying at Tremont. So it's not like you're getting 5-star accommodations, but you're at a national park. You're camping. She's going to. Yes, you have to pay your travel. Yeah. To get information so that you don't miss it. Yeah. Meals, everything's included in that 6, other than your travel. But I noticed that this. Yeah. On your own, yeah. And a lot of people have gotten. I've seen she's posted where a lot of people have gotten scholarships from different organizations, or some people their district will pay for it. So yeah, there are lots of if you don't want to pay for it by yourself, then you can find some ways. But it is a wonderful experience. Yeah. So, yeah. All right. Any other questions? All right.
All right. Good. Oh, I did have some handouts that I remembered I brought, which is what we did for the engineering design process. So this is part of the planning. We did it on Canva. So it actually breaks out each step of the process for the kiddos, and then all the way to the end, and then what they liked or what their team was able to do or not do. So I have examples of that up here. You're more than welcome to take as many as you need.